stay ready, we never have to get ready. Not something that I came up with, but definitely something that I kind of try and live my life by. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Closing with Cory podcast, episode number 6. This one is going to be a quick little check-in for this week. As I said, I'm kind of learning as I go week by week on what I want to talk about. And today kind of stood out to me because today is the first day in 2023 that all of the buyers that I am working with had at least one new property be sent over to them in the automated search that I have set up, which is going to be a hopeful outlook that the market is going to be picking up a little bit. There's going to be, hopefully some more listings coming on. But more importantly to that is the conversation that I just had with probably about 15 people just this morning, is that if we stay ready, we never have to get ready. Not something that I came up with, but definitely something that I kind of try and live my life by day, to be able to say, all this preparation, all this work, all of this this time that I'm putting in now is only going to benefit me tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, whatever the case may be. And I think that is so important in this market, and especially with both the buying side and the selling side. And I'll kind of go into a little bit of both very briefly. The conversation I'm having with my buyers is, listen, you never know when that perfect home is going to be coming onto the market. So if you are prepared and if you are ready for that opportunity, then it's not going to be a scramble to get a pre-approval or a scramble to understand what the monthly breakdown is going to be and if you're going to be okay for that type of situation. For my buyers, as far as getting ready and being prepared, I would say some of the most important things, obviously, number one, we've talked about it over and over again on here so far, and I'm only on episode number 6, but is a pre-approval. So important to not only have one of those ready to go, but also to understand the breakdown on what it means. If you're pre-approved up to X amount, what does that actually break down to monthly wise with, you can only use, estimated numbers, obviously, but being able to understand that is going to be one of the most crucial things for a buyer as you are being prepared right now. Number 2, I think it's also extremely important to do some location scouting. That's going to be so important because it's going to allow us to not really waste time in the beginning process of trying to figure out where exactly you guys want to be at. So location scouting is very important because it'll allow you to start realizing, more importantly, where you don't want to be, to where you actually do want to be. Because as you start going through, you're going to know. You're going to know once you get into a neighborhood, if you're going to say, this just doesn't feel like home to me. I don't really like this neighborhood. It allows us to do a process of elimination once these homes start coming onto the market, and allows you to know, what, let's prioritize our search and our showings because I love the location of this one and I'm not too fond of the location of this one. So you know where you want to focus your attention on. Last but not least is going to be your need list. And I say that because there is a lot of people that want a lot of things. But when it comes down to what your needs are, that is going to be the most important thing, because that's going to know, okay, now can we do a 3-bedroom instead of a 4-bedroom? I know we want a 4-bedroom, but can we do a 3-bedroom? Because guess what? Adding in the criteria to where you would be okay and open to a 3-bedroom home as opposed to a 4-bedroom home is going to expand your search. More properties are going to come through. Another big one that I have are bathrooms. Are we okay with 1.5 baths? Or are we okay with 2 baths? Or do we need 2.5 baths? Whatever the case is, you're going to understand what you absolutely need and what's a necessity for you and your family, and more importantly, your future. On the selling side, I mean, there's a bunch to be able to be prepared for the market and having your home come to the market. I can probably say years ago that I moved probably 4 times in 4 years. And every single time that I moved, I would always ask myself, how in the world do I have this much stuff? I've only been here for about 11 months. So if you've been in a home for 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I'm sure you have a lot of stuff, tucked in that basement or hidden in that attic or behind all the stuff in the closet. So I think that there is a point to where if you're selling in a year from now or 6 months from now, the last thing that you want to do is have this last minute runaround in order to prepare the home for pictures that are happening in 2 days or 3 days or whatever the case is. And it's like, hey, I need to list my home right away, because I said before, you do not get a second chance at a first impression when it comes down to these listings. And that first impression is the most important impression that you're going to be able to leave on a potential buyer who wants to buy your home. Okay, so I want to tell a quick story. Long story short, we hosted a New Year's Eve party here, and I thought about that, and I connected that with the idea of a seller selling their home, because in preparation for the New Year's Eve party, there was a lot of cleaning, there's a lot of decluttering, there's a lot of, touching up some paint and stuff, because the kids just run into walls like they're maniacs, or they have their hands, plastered all over the walls, or the dogs are running into the side and nicking the molding or something like that. So in preparation, probably took me about 3 to 4 weeks, where little by little, I was setting myself these little jobs like, hey, let's touch up the paint in the kitchen. Let's touch up the molding. Let's touch up the trimming. Let's caulk some of these gaps from over the winter from the house, expanding, contracting, all these things that I was doing in preparation for it. Now, on New Year's Eve, do you know how many people came up to me and said, oh, wow, the house looks very, very well put together and cleaned? Nobody did. And that was more so for me to understand, okay, why was I connecting those two things? And what happened was, on the days to follow, after people started posting pictures and videos from the get together, then that's when people started to kind of realize and be like, oh wow, the house looks so nice, everything is put together so nice. And that's where in my mind it translated to where all of that preparation work that you are doing is going to benefit these pictures, and how your home is marketed online, and how it is marketed to the postcard mailings and social media and all these things, to where those pictures are designated to be able to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to leave an impression on a buyer to want to walk through your front door to tour your home. So in that story, basically what I was trying to say was, you may not even realize it. You may not even be like, oh my goodness, the house looks so much better. It's so much more decluttered, and it's so much this, so much that. But once it's actually presented and seen online, and it's seen through different marketing avenues, that's when people are going to be like, wow, that house looks very nicely put together. I want to go and check it out. So I would say some of the most important things, I kind of just narrowed them down to 3. Obviously, there's always going to be a lot more. Number 1, decluttering. You don't know how much stuff until you start looking through. It's going to be very important. I send over a pre-listing marketing presentation to say, hey, here's what you're going to need to be focused on before we do pictures. And just so that packet isn't overwhelming, these little things that you can be doing to declutter the basement, so we can show that, to declutter certain closet situations and the main bedroom walk-in closet, and all these things that you're going to want to be able to showcase in those pictures. So decluttering is always important. Number 2 is going to be the market stats and the knowledge on what's happening in the market. The last thing that you want to do is have an idea in your head from a conversation that you had with an agent a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, because as we've seen, the market is always changing, and it's changing very rapidly these days. So I think having a good idea and your ear to the ground, or the ear to the street, whatever the saying is, to where I know what's happening. Hey, this house just sold 2 weeks ago. This house just went under contract a couple of days ago, and it was only on the market for a certain amount of time. Or this home is still on the market, very similar to mine, and it's been on the market for 80, 90 days. So having that knowledge is going to lessen that shock value, or that shock factor, to where you're ready to list your home now. And it's like, oh, wait a second. No, this home sold, but that was 2.5 years ago. Things have obviously changed. So having that constant knowledge and that constant awareness is always going to be important. And lastly, it's kind of the same thing as what we've been talking about. It's just prepping. Doing these little things, doing these minor touch-ups for painting, doing the things in the outside area for the walk-up and the entrance, doing things as far as the garage is concerned, so people can walk in and say, wow, I can fit two cars in here, even though you may be using it for extra storage or extra whatever, cleaning up the backyard. All of these things that are going to be so important, and it's going to be overwhelming if you leave it up until the last minute or the week of the listing or the showing or the open house, and then all of a sudden you're going to be driving yourself crazy trying to get everything prepared. So from what I started off with, staying ready and staying prepared, and just in general preparing and having that preparation in your mind, so then when it comes down to the time to actually execute and to actually go through with the game plan and to get that house listed and to put that offer on that property that just got listed a few hours ago, that is when it is going to make all of the difference, is when that action needs to be applied. So whether it's going to be 6 months from now, like I said, a year from now, whatever the case is, if we are ready and staying ready, then we aren't going to have to rush to get ready to when the time comes for you to be able to do those two things. So that was really what I wanted to go over. I was kind of inspired from the conversations that I had with my clients over this past day and a half, 2 days, and also seeing too that all the, and listen, they weren't all perfect dream homes, but it was at least the first time that all of my buyers received at least one new property in their listing that they have. So things are happening, and I think being ready for those things to change, whether they slow down or whether they speed up, we're at least going to be prepared for either one of those occasions. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe to all the channels. I appreciate everything, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great week.